Hello, I'm Joey Panek, and I've recently learned quite a bit about drinking Scotch. Now, until recently, my experience with Scotch had been as a little boy sneaking into my parents' liquor cabinet, stealing my father's Dewar's, drinking it, and nearly vomiting on myself. I decided as an adult to revisit Scotch, and here's a couple of things that I've learned. First of all, the history of Scotch. In order for whiskey to be considered Scotch whiskey, it must be matured in an oak cask in Scotland for a minimum of 3 years. Who knew? I thought it all just came from the same type of barrel. Here is the other thing that I did not know about Scotch. Scotch in its purest form is clear. It is actually drawing in the oils from the wooden barrels that it's stored in, which causes the color. Hello? Who knew? Now, I should tell you that it was at a recent Scotch tasting at Fleming's, which is where I garnered all of my newfound Scotch knowledge.
Tastes thick. Tastes thick. Tastes stout.
It's like syrup. Here's another thing about Scotch. The great question. Do we put in water? Do we put in ice? Do we drink it neat? Neat means by itself. It's really to taste, but my good friend Randall from Macallan Scotch recently explained to me a good rule of thumb for whether or not to add water.
When you see the full clear white bottle right there, that's a sherry cask. Think of that like a red wine. You would drink that pretty much neat. When you see the pastel in there, that's a fine oak. And as you look at your whiskeys, those are the lighter ones. They're like the blondes to the redheads. The sherry casks are a lot like cognac. You would drink them in a snifter by themselves, maybe a drop of water, maybe one ice cube. But the fine oak, it's designed for ice. So fine oak with ice, which are the lighter ones, and then sherry cask, neat, are in maybe a drop of water.
All right, so to reiterate, the fine oak Scotch, which is the lighter in color Scotch, you'll want to consider that more like a white wine, like Randall said. And in that case, you can go ahead and add about a tablespoon of water. Or here in Florida, you can add a healthy ice cube, which will melt very quickly to about that amount in water. If it is one of the darker Scotches, then, the dark red, 12 to 18 years, then you're going to want to go with less ice. You don't really want to dilute that Scotch. That's like buying a really fine vodka and pouring Kool-Aid directly into it. Again, another one of my bonehead moves from when I was a kid in my parents' liquor cabinet.
It's vibrant, and you get this, what I like to call Christmas in a glass. It's like the seasons, the winter seasons, cinnamon, nutmeg, dried fruit, and spice. And you smell that. It's unmistakable Macallan. I personally think most whiskeys, they peak between 18 and 20 years old. Past that, you're just showing off. Of course, I'm going to disagree if you're buying a 25-year-old Macallan. But I think, for the money, this 18 is universally accepted as one of the finest whiskeys in the world. In my opinion, it's the best. Now, it's going to taste a lot like that 12, except more refined, more mature.
The other move I've learned, and this is something you'll want to pick up for when you're out with your friends so you don't look like a total idiot when you're drinking the Scotch. The first thing you want to do, don't just throw it back. You're going to hold the glass up and really get a good sniff of it, smell the Scotch, and then take a taste of it. Nothing says low class more than downing it like a shot of Jaeger. Here's the other question: what should I eat with Scotch? Well, my good friend Judy Gallagher helped explain one of the ways to match the tastes of the Scotch with the tastes of the food.
No, thank you.
Judy, will you tell me what we have here? Did you catch it?
Guinness braised baby lamb chop with a little crust on it, so it's going to give you that little bit of crunch and caramelization, and then that moist, beautiful lamb, because we're talking about Scotch, right? And of course, it's paired also with a potato pancake with smoked salmon. So much smoked salmon that you always have when you're in Scotland. So these are two classic pairings, and they're actually, Joey, they're going to go really well with the Scotch because there's notes. The Scotch is just like wine. There's hints of cinnamon. So you might want to try perhaps the first Scotch. The first two I would go more with the salmon. And as you get to the deeper Scotches, I'd go with the lamb.
Good. And here's another thing I've learned about Scotch. If you drink Scotch, that gives you the right to wear a kilt. because real men drink Scotch and real men wear kilts, apparently. Fleming's is also unrolling a very, very cool thing this fall. Through the end of September, they have a special wine that is on their list. It's a 2007 Oak Alexander Valley Cabernet Sauvignon, which has like a black plum, blackberry spice, baking spice flavor to it with a long fruity finish, not unlike myself. I am Joey Panek, and I will bring you along on my quest to drink like a true man.
Do not hold your glass up on the cast tray without diluting it, and whatever you do not drink it all in one like this. Because you will get tears in your eyes. Owen, do you have any words to say about that?
I hate you. I'm really not a fan of you anymore.
I don't like me either.
We were friends at one point.